Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. In this beautiful locations, my name is Fawazien. I will explain about the topic 10, that is about issues on national examinations and minimum competence assignments. Alright, uh, every country in the world will for sure want to develop the quality of the societies. One way to get the target will use the education. Improving the education will be a really serious issue and very hard to do, especially in Indonesia, because it has a lot of areas and millions difference of cultures, views, and environment. Based on Atmanti, the higher the quality of the human resource is, the higher the efficiency and productivity of a country are. So that is sure that education for every country becomes a soul, and it becomes the agent for young generations, in which the young generations will be the future of the country. It means educations in which that the young generations will do the process in will really need to be improved, as well as what the environment, what the country, what the nations is able to do. Okay, next, we go to definitions of national examinations. And here, a national exam can be defined as a survey of schools and students, and sometimes teachers, that is designed to provide evidence at the level of education system about the students' achievements at a particular stage of education in identified curriculum areas: reading or literacy, mathematics or numeracy or science. So here, what we say as national examinations, it means that the function of its test is usually placed as a source of information, in which that source will be the tool for the ministry to develop the education systems of the country. Regarding the quality of education, the government held national exam, or we call it as UN, Ujian Nasional, which is a standard education assessment of primary and secondary education in Indonesia. The UN administered by the BNSP and has been administered by Sukyadi for its students. Since 2005, Government Regulations Number 19 of 2005, the test require 6th, 9th, and 12th grade to take national examinations at the end of junior and senior high school, grade 9 and 12, as the minimum graduation requirement, UNESCO. So, meanwhile, uh, national examinations becomes the informations for the ministry to check the development of the society's educations. But this national examinations also becomes the minimum graduations requirement. That's the first time, that's the national examinations on 2005. Next, let's go to the history of national exams time to times. Okay, here I only take the national examinations from 2002. EPTANAS, evaluasi belajar tahap akhir nasional, was initiated before 2002. In 2002, the national examinations was called the National Final Examinations, or NFE. And then it was changed in 2005 to a national examinations. 2004 and 2010, the result of national examination were applied as the sole determinant of graduation requirement. So from 2004 to 2010, the result of national examinations that the students do is applied as the sole determinant of graduation requirement. So it's one thing that should be done by the students if they want to graduate to the higher level. Okay, in 2012 to 2015, the NE was employed as one of the determinant component of graduation in addition to the result of school examinations. So it was changed when national examinations became the only one requirement in 2011 2015. The national examination becomes one of a part to one of things that should be required by students if they want to go to the higher level. Because another thing that should be done by students if they want to graduate from the school, they have to do the school examinations. Okay, during 2016 to 2020, the government implemented a policy which stated that the NA results were completely no longer determined graduation. In that period, the functions of national result were as the sources of information for education mapping, a requirement for continuing to a higher level of education, especially junior high school students, as well as information to enhance the school quality. And it is written in this PPT. That means in 2016, the national examination result was not becoming the only one, or that there is not that is no longer the requirement to graduate to the higher level. And uh, and in this time, the role of national examination is only the source of information for education mapping. As I have told you, that the most important role for national examination is to give the education ministry, about informations in order to be able to develop the education systems in a country. Okay, next. Issue on national exam in Indonesia. Okay, actually there are some issues that is really so interested to discuss actually when we are talking about national examinations in Indonesia during this history. Okay, the first one. Let's start with uh, teacher and students are depressed. The existence of this national examination is actually made the teachers and the students depressed. Not only the students who will do the exam, the teacher also depressed because of this thing. Okay, the first the first was why I've told you that students are I'm sorry, why students are depressed. Yeah, okay, I will give you some data that is on 2013 in Pondok Petir, Bojongsari, a girl 17 years old killed herself because she was afraid of failure in examinations. And then the second case is on 2008 on in Sumba Timur, a junior high school student killed herself as well because she was trying to join 2 times national examination, but she still failed. This is like a really hard issue in which that the existence of national examination is actually not that good, not that effective. That's for the student side. They feel depressed. They feel afraid of failure in doing the exam because The process in 3 years are it's just like it depends on how we do the exam in 3 days. It's not fair. It's not fair at all. And then the teachers are also depressed. It is proven because there are on 2012 a thousand more cases were reported because cheat in national examinations. And honestly, when I was in junior high school at the time, my teacher also gave me some was it some answer sheets in which that we just need to copy the answer to the answer sheets. I think it clears that both teachers and students are also depressed. Okay, the second one, stipulated in the minister's circular for the national examinations implementations 2017, students from the school with no computer facilities are still encouraged to conduct the CPA at the nearest school conducting CBA with approximate distance of around 5 kilometers. The students from the school lacking computer equipment need to manage to learn both the test content and the technical use of the computer in order to effectively take the CBA. The inequalities in the administrations of the CBA can have a crucial issue on assessment fairness, which can possibly lead to misleading result in the assessments. Okay, the second and the third one is about the facilities for some schools in which that there are still a lot of schools in the countryside in which that they have no capable media like computer or other to do the CBA. It means it just makes them difficult when facing national examinations, especially they have more preparations including studying for the exam content and also studying to do the test using the computer. Okay, next, minimum competence assignment. The survey done by the International Reading Literacy Study peers on 2011 shows that the literature capacity of Indonesian students still places in the low positions. Not only that, based on the evaluations done by the PISA program for international student assessment, our literature quality shows the same result. Indonesia only got 371 score and placed the last three countries achieved the lowest score. Okay, this is related to the interest of students of Indonesian students reading interest. Yeah, as we know that our societies, our students are also lazy. Most of them are, I do not want to say that all of them, but most of them are lazy to read. Okay, and it is proven by this survey. Okay, next one. In the era of President Joko Widodo, the education sector becomes the most important target and the prior development program. This is proven by the education change system and the new education consideration. One of the change was the change of national examinations to be minimum competency assessment in the character survey based on UU Indonesia Republik number for 3 years 2019 about the examination implementation. The national examinations of 2020 become the last national exam. The next year will be changed to minimum competence assessment. Kemendikbud 2020. So because it's a big project for our president in our president's era, especially it makes a lot of change in our education. One of the change that we can see is national examination is changed to be minimum competence assessment, or we can say AKM, assessment competency minimum. And it was first time done in 2021. So this year will be the second year of the implementation of this AKM. Next, definitions of minimum competence assessment. Minimum competence assessment, or known as assessment, uh, is the basic competence that needs by students to develop their capacity to participate positively in societies. There are two basic competencies needed in this study. They are literature and numerical. Both require the logic, systematic thinking, the creativity of logical reasoning, and creativity of choosing and processing the informations. AKM equips a lot of problems in variety contexts in which that is hoped that the students can solve through their capacity of literature and numerical. Next, basic competence of minimum competence assessment, as we see that in previous uh, slide, there are two kinds of basic competence that this exam, this test focus on only two basic competences that are literature, numeric. And then in literature, as we see, there are three components. There that are content, context, and cognitive. Content, it includes fiction and information, personal, social, culture, and scientific, finding, interpretation, integration, evolution, and reflection. Next, in numeric, the component is content, context, and also cognitive. Numerical, measurement in geometry, data, and algebra, personal, social, culture, and scientific, comprehension, interpretation, and reasoning. Next, form of the questions in AKM. The form of questions, there are 5 forms of questions that are multiple choice. The questions have some choices and students should choose one. As we know, like the usual exam, it has some multiple choices questions. The next one, complex multiple choice. This is similar with point 1, but students should choose the answer based on the column, and the answer may form like yes or no, or wrong or right questions. So the form of question may be, the content may be is the same as the point 1, but the column answer may be something in different. Next, matching to statement. The fourth one, essay, or we can say short answer. This requires the short answers in the form of word or phrase. So there will be a questions in which it needs a word or phrase to complete the task, the items. The next one, essay or statement. This question requires a statement in form of sentence, in form of idea or paragraph to finish the item. Okay, that's the form of the questions in AKM. Okay, this is my personal opinions why AKM is better than UN, why minimum competence assessment is better to do than just national examination. The first, AKM can ensure the lack of our society which have the very low interest in reading as stated in the survey or in the background of AKM above. It is the answer is AKM because it focuses only to literature and also numeric or mathematics. And in numeric or mathematics, it has also some common problems that should be also solved using this our reading comprehensions, of course. The second, AKM does not become the only one requirement to pass the formal school. It is not like UN, which becomes a must to graduate. This is like when talking about UN, because UN passes some era, some era times to times, and at first UN becomes the first or prior requirement to graduate to the higher level. But when talking about AKM from the first time it is not becoming the first prior, or I mean AKM still tries to respect the process of the students in learning during 3 years. And then the next one is the implementations of AKM is done not in the last grade of formal school. The last grade of school give the students chance to prepare their next level of study. Okay, as we know that in national examination it was done only in the last grade of in the last class of every grade, for example the third class of junior high school or the third class of senior high school. It will disturb the preparations of the students to go to the higher level of the formal education, especially university or senior high school students. So by the existence of the system in which in the second class of junior high school or senior high school, I think AKM, I think the students will not be too busy when they go to preparations of the next level of their education. Okay, the last part that I want to focus is I will add one more opinions about why I choose this minimum competence assessment, because this in this test we just have two special lessons that we focus on the test, that is numeric and also literature. And when talking about national examinations, there are more than three, or there are more than two materials which will be targeted. I mean, which will be tested. I think that's a little bit hard for students to study all those materials, because as we know students will have big responsibilities to many materials what they learn in during the school. Okay, I think that's all my explanations. I'm sorry if you find any mistake, and please give me some comments if I am wrong, because it's absolutely only my opinion. And see you in our discussion. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.